What could be better than being out in the open countryside and breathing the fresh air? Oh dear. And enjoying some of the simpler pleasures in life. Well, for this week's real life test, we've taken to the countryside to take up some real work. So before we meet our two cars, let's meet our two test drivers. Our first tester this week is Paul Tyso, a landscape gardener and home improvements expert based in Leeds. Second is Mark Cunningham, a landscape contractor and an aspiring actor. So it's time to ditch those wheelbarrows and take out our new chariots, the Subaru Forester, a new type of off-roader, and Ford's Explorer, a more traditional 4x4. First up is Paul in the Subaru.
I think the car is very good. It's responsive, it drives well, it's comfortable. It's not a bad car to look at. This space, you've got a bit of space. Obviously the rear of the car, the back space is an advantage.
And how's Mark getting on with the Explorer?
This Explorer is a nice one. I did toy with the idea of buying one of these, but I wanted a shorter wheelbase. I don't know about the towing capacity on it, but yeah, it's high enough off the ground, quite a beefy motor, there's quite a bit of room. The seats will drop down at the back. They're made for off-road and not for speed.
Okay, so we're pretty much at the halfway mark because you've each been out in one of the cars, so before you go out in the next one, let's get your first impressions of those. We'll start with you, Paul, because you went out first of all in the Subaru. What do you reckon?
I enjoy driving the car. It's a nice car to drive, responsive, very quick. Wouldn't be ideally suited to my line of work, but it was a nice car to drive.
Okay, so perhaps not quite perfect, but there are good points there.
Yes, good car.
All right, well, let's turn to you, Mark. You went out in the Ford Explorer. Your first impressions of that?
I think it's a nice looking car and it handles quite good. Yeah, nice vehicle all around.
So it's not disastrous, but maybe you'll each find the perfect vehicle in the other one. So let's do a swap, get out and test those. So, Paul, I'm going to give you the keys to the Ford. I'm going to give you, Mark, the keys to the Subaru. You go and test those, and I'll get out your way, all right?
It's a lot nicer than the other one. It's traditional 4x4 styling, I suppose, high off the ground. It's a better looking motor car, and I would say it's a bit of a smoother ride. It wouldn't do the work, the carrying capacity that we wanted it, but we would get around that.
As far as getting you out of the mud and things like that, I think it would be all right, but I won't really say on rough terrain because it's more like it's very low to the ground. It's quite a nice little car. It's a nice little drive. I think it'd suit a retired couple actually.
We'll start with you, Paul. You started with the Subaru Forester, moved on to the Ford Explorer, having driven both of them. Which one's for you and why?
The Ford is for me, because the higher elevated position, for me it's a natural 4x4 vehicle. I like the speed of the Subaru, but I think I would go with big is better.
Mark, you started the other way around. You began with the Ford and moved on to the Subaru. For you, which is your favourite?
I like the Ford. I don't dislike the Subaru, but I think it's very nippy. But the Ford looks more like a four-wheel drive to me, and the Subaru, unfortunately, looks like it belongs with a paramedic.
Yep, I can see that. So for both of you then, it's big is best.
That's
rather
right.
than that extra bit of speed.
That bit of ruggedness, yeah.
I suppose that's the extra practicality. Well, the bad news is, you don't get either of them. It's back to your wheelbarrows for you, I'm afraid, guys. But thanks for your opinions.
Thanks very much.